back to Oktoberfest. Welcome to a brand new segment on this channel called Freaky Friday Frights. This was inspired by the GOAT of YouTube and Spooky Scary Sunday, Mr. Corey Kenshin. Thank you for the thumbs up on that little segment on this. This is going to be something I'll do on every Oktoberfest. And I'll probably keep it going every Friday night from here on out. It all depends on how this segment goes on Oktoberfest. So make sure you get your snacks, get something to drink, kick back, relax, and let's enjoy some Freaky Friday Frights. Is something that I brought to this channel for Oktoberfest. This was inspired by Corey Kenshin. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you are new with notification bells turned on, and so you don't miss out on any more Oktoberfest videos. Let's get it. Okay, so this first video is called You Got a Friend in Me, and this is brought to you by Meatcanyon. I love Meatcanyon. They videos are so creepy and scary. I love everything they do, honestly. That's Andy.
I want you to move. I want you to move for me. If you don't respond, I'm going to start killing all of your friends here.
Damn.
Move for me, Woody.
Andy got dark.
Move for me.
You better move.
Do you think that I'm fucking playing? I saw you, Woody. I saw you on the toys playing with Sid. My toys were alive, and they were playing with my next door neighbor. And not me.
Oh, that's crazy.
My childhood, my whole life was knowing that my toys were alive, but they didn't want to be alive around me. Be the hero, Woody! Move for me! Move!
Uh-oh.
I knew you were alive, Woody. Woody, I knew it.
How old is Andy?
You have cancer, Andy.
What?
When we reveal ourselves to be alive to humans, they contract cancer. You got cancer, Andy.
Damn.
Did you ever wonder where Sid went?
He moved. Mom said he moved.
He moved to heaven, Andy. He got cancer and died. I know that you just found out that you have cancer, but it feels so nice being able...
Yo, this went completely dark. I thought it was going to get... I knew it was going to be dark, but I didn't think it was going to get that dark. Like, damn.
to talk to you finally.
Why would you do this?
I don't want to, Andy, but you forced my hand. I had to look out for my partners. It's like looking into the face of an angel, Andy. It's too much for humans.
You don't come back from infinity, Andy.
Oh, partner, you got cancer.
That was dark. Alright, that was super dark. That Andy shit was super dark. Let's go on to the next video. Alright, second video is the True Horror Stories Animated. And we're gonna continue it and keep it pushing, because that Andy thing just got me all the way messed up right now.
This happened back in 2015. Let's get the obligatory
That
backstory
was
out
7
of the
years
way.
ago.
I'm the eldest of 3 brothers.
Okay.
At the time, my brother Eli was 7 and Danny was 12, and I had just turned 17 a week prior.
Mm-hmm.
My parents have always been a couple of party animals. Whenever the holidays holidays would come around, they would always go out and have a few drinks with friends,
Okay.
leaving us home with a babysitter until I was about 14. Then
No,
it
we don't
became
do
my
that.
responsibility to watch after my younger brothers.
Mm-mm.
There was this girl who was my age named Shelly who lived across the street from us. She had a brother named Charlie who was the same age as Eli, and they were very good friends.
Oh,
I used to
okay.
have a crush on Shelly, but I never said anything to her because of the usual teenage awkwardness that we all go through.
Bro, I noticed if you be real confident, if you confident and if you confident in yourself and you know what you're worth, you can get any woman you want. Trust me. If you're a nerdy guy or a nerdy female, trust me, people love stuff like that. So don't ever sell yourself short of anything in the world because you never know what can happen if you just go for it.
By the time I grew out of that stage, Shelly had already been through a few boyfriends. Now, I don't mean to sound mean or anything, but Shelly had horrible taste in men.
They always
She would
do.
always go for these wannabe gangster types.
They always do.
The type of loser who you'd see arguing with the desk clerk at the DMV.
Mm-hmm.
It was like these dicks came off an assembly line or something. I swear, she dropped one loser only to get with another guy who was exactly like the one she just dumped. Anyways, by the time I turned 17, I had gone through a pretty drastic physical transformation. I was much taller and stronger than most kids my age. My father is a very big man, 6'4", 240 pounds, and it seemed that I was shaping up to become just like him. When I started becoming bigger, Shelly started coming around more and more, flirting with me and whatnot. I was always nice to her for the most part, but I honestly had no interest in being in a relationship with her at that point. I mean, after seeing the kind of trouble she brought around. She was one of those girls who thought bragging about how she hung out with gang members and smoked weed was just so cool. I found it to be repulsive and annoying.
Yeah, just move on, bro.
So the day before Halloween, I was working on fixing my dad's lawnmower. It had been giving us some trouble lately, and I was
Yo, what if she been killing her
the issue
boyfriend?
was. I was working in the garage and had the garage door open. It was simply just way too hot to be inside the garage with the door closed. I can't remember the exact reason, but I was in a bad mood that day. So when I looked over my shoulder to see Shelly standing there in a really skimpy outfit, I just instantly became aggravated.
Hey, Mike.
She had said in an irritating, seductive voice. I let out a groan
She
under
got
my
the same
breath
outfit she
before I
had when you
responded.
first met her.
What's up, Shelly? Can I help you with something?
Oh, I was just wondering if you wanted to go somewhere and have a little fun.
Nah, I'm good.
No thanks. I think I'm good.
Right?
Stop playing. I've seen the way you look at me.
Nah, I'm good.
I don't know what you're talking about. Now, if you don't mind, I'm busy.
Right?
At this point, I was beginning to lose my patience.
Bye, Felicia.
Don't be that way. You know you want this.
What? Ew.
The only thing I want is for you to get the hell out of my garage.
Right?
Isn't there some other kid you can bother?
Mm-hmm. Let them
I
know.
couldn't believe I said those words as they left my mouth. I'm usually much nicer to her, but this was the first time she had ever come on to me.
Nah, damn all that.
I knew it was going to happen sooner or later, but I didn't really plan on being so aggressive when I turned her down.
You got to nowadays.
Are you kidding me? You're turning me down?
Yeah?
Yeah. Can you please leave now?
You idiot. You're gonna regret this.
Nah, I think not.
I just shook my head as I watched her stomp off. I didn't take her threat seriously. I just chalked it up to her not being able to handle rejection well,
Right.
and then went about my day.
That's what you gotta do, bro.
The
You gotta
next
do
night
that.
was, of course, Halloween. My parents were invited to an adults-only party. They told me that I was to take my brothers trick-or-treating and to not wait up for them, as they wouldn't be back
You
until
know
the
what the
next
messed
day.
up thing is? I hate
So I
Halloween
did what I
stories
was told,
because basically
and I
my
watched
birthday the day
her
before
video as they
Halloween.
walked from house to house collecting candy.
Is he a
After
Joker?
about an hour, we saw a little boy in a ninja costume.
Represent, baby, represent.
The boy was crying his eyes out and asking where his sister was. To my shock, the boy was Charlie, Shelly's younger brother. I asked him what happened. Charlie said that he was trick-or-treating with his sister, and then when he got back from getting candy from the house across the street, which had a really long driveway, his sister was nowhere in sight. I was pretty much instantly worried. I thought something might have happened to her, so I immediately called Charlie's mother, Shauna. Shauna was enraged upon hearing that Charlie was all by himself. She went on to say that her and Shelly got into this huge fight earlier that day because Shelly wanted to spend the evening with another boyfriend instead of taking her brother trick-or-treating. She suspected that Shelly ditched her brother, then ran off with her boyfriend. I didn't want to get involved with this family drama,
Right.
but I offered to watch after Charlie and take him trick-or-treating with my brothers around the neighborhood.
That's nice.
Charlie and Eli were buddies after all. Shauna thanked me, and she said that she would deal with Shelly as soon as she found out where she was. I thought it was pretty shitty for Shelly to ditch her brother and run off with some guy,
Right.
but it wasn't my problem. I was just
really
going to
ain't.
make sure that Charlie had a good time and then got back home safely. However, I was not prepared for what happened later that night. The rest of that evening was pretty uneventful. Being around Danny and Eli seemed to really cheer up Charlie. Charlie was a good kid. I'm glad I was able to save his Halloween experience and distance him from the chaos that
Did
was
he kill his
undoubtedly
sister?
waiting for him back home. At least for a time. I would say around 9 o'clock was when we dropped Charlie back off at his house. Shauna answered the door and thanked me for looking after him. I could tell she was very upset about the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my brothers came back home, and after watching a horror movie and going through the candy, I then made them wash up and get ready for bed. After the boys fell asleep, I settled down in my room and began going through my phone. Just as I was starting to nod off, I was then startled by a really loud smack at my bedroom window. I could hear a muffled voice coming from the other side. I couldn't make out what was being said, but I clearly heard a male voice saying the word mother multiple times. Don't ask me how, but I just somehow knew what was going on. Now, you may be thinking that someone may have been trying to break in, or maybe some psychopath was lurking around the backyard with a knife. But I
Could be.
promise you, what was actually going on is much dumber than you could possibly imagine. I recognized the voice that was outside my bedroom window. It belonged to a guy named Derek. He used to go to my school, but he was expelled for doing drugs in the bathroom. A real winner.
Typical.
He, of course, had an on and off relationship with Shelly. As I said, I knew why he was outside my house knocking on my window. I believe that Shelly had reached out to him after I turned her down and concocted some bullshit story about me being rude to her or something, and this dork had the audacity to come and provoke me at my home. I have a zero tolerance policy for anyone who comes to my home looking for trouble.
Right.
I calmly got up and walked to my back porch and saw Derek looking right into my bedroom window, which was next to the porch. Shelly was standing behind him with her arms crossed. I opened the door and stepped out into the back porch. As soon as I did, I was assaulted by a freight train of insults from the two delinquents. Derek had a pocket knife in his hand
He's
and was
from
walking up the
delinquents.
porch steps towards me. As soon as I saw the knife, I immediately sprung into action. I rushed right for him and shoved him backwards off the steps. He then hit the ground hard. Before he even had a chance to get up, I was towering over him and hitting him in the face with a closed fist. After about the second or third blow, I could see that he was out cold.
Damn.
Blood was gushing from his nose and mouth, and he was twitching really badly. I knew if I continued pounding on him, he'd be drinking through a straw for the rest of his life, and I really didn't want that on my conscience. I got off of Derek and looked over to Shelly, who was standing there with a look of absolute shock all over her face.
She started
I
it
was
though.
so disgusted with her, and I gave her some parting words. Did you seriously ditch your brother tonight so you could get with this idiot and come after me? You're so pathetic. Get the hell off my property. I'm calling the police. It wasn't until I turned around and started walking back up the porch steps that Shelly started shouting at me.
I know gang members. They're gonna come back here and kick your ass.
When I turned back around, there were two police officers that appeared behind Shelly with their guns drawn. Shelly was still shouting at me, completely unaware that the cops were literally right behind her.
Mhm.
All I could do was smile and fold my arms and watch as Shelly's face turn completely pale when one of the officers then told her, in the air. After everything was said and done, Derek was taken to the hospital with a concussion, a broken nose, and several missing teeth. He would face trespassing charges as soon as he recovered.
Okay.
Shelly was kicked out of her house for the stunt she pulled that night, and I haven't seen her since. I do sincerely hope that she learned a lesson that night and that she's turned her life around for the better.
She didn't.
There's a couple of more things I'd like to say before this story ends. The first is that if you have younger brothers or sisters, you should make sure they enjoy their Halloween, even if that means you have to cancel your own plans.
Right.
Halloween is
Or
a very
kids.
special night for children, and there's only a handful of years they have to really enjoy it.
Right.
The second is that if you show up at someone's house with a knife threatening them, you better have a good dental insurance plan.
That was gangster. That was straight up gangster. But the third video we have today is coming from another Meatcanyon video. The fuck?
It's time. Come, Thomas, you'll want to see this.
Why are y'all mad? Why are they so mad, yo? What the hell is that?
A female grimace, yes. And she's pregnant with 3 pups. Now, the female grimmi go into heat only once in their life cycle, and every McDonald's has at least 1 female, but the males are exceedingly rare. In fact, the last known bull grimace died this year. Do you know what that means?
The hell was that for?
It means if she doesn't produce a male, the species is doomed. Cervix dilation, 12 centimeters.
Ew.
She's ready. 15 months of gestation, but she's ready now to bring her litter of grim-eyed pups into the world.
Ew. The hell is that? Are they the Hamburglers?
Damn it, it's gone breach. Quickly, Thomas, before we use it.
Wait, why you gotta do that? Ew!
Come on, breathe. Breathe!
You know what? I will quit.
It's beautiful.
No,
You
it's not.
make a fine bull.
What in the... What is that?
Ladies and gentlemen, the McRib is back.
Ew! What the fuck?
Hey, just let you know I can't work next Wednesday. My grandma died.
Oh, okay, I'll update the schedule, but please try to let me know 2 weeks ahead of time.
Well, I didn't know she would pass away. I have no real way of controlling that. So.
What, you dick?
I know, but I'm just letting you know.
Bro, I'm not eating at McDonald's no more. I'm not eating at McDonald's no more. I'm done. Today's last video. We're going back to the True Halloween Horror Stories animation. So this is the last video of today, and we are going.
74. 8-year-old Timothy O'Brien went trick-or-treating with his sister, Elizabeth, and 2 other children in Pasadena, accompanied by Timothy's father, Ronald, and
Okay,
another parent.
1974?
The night started off innocently enough, but would go on to end in tragedy.
That's not good.
When the group knocked on one particular door, there was seemingly no one home, and as such, they swiftly moved on, stayed behind for a moment to wait and see if anybody would answer the door. He quickly caught back up with the others, with 5 pixie sticks in his hand, given to him by the homeowner, who was simply taking their time to answer the door. He distributed the candy amongst the children, and later gave the spare one to a child who was not with the group.
That was nice.
It began to rain, and as such, they cut their trick-or-treating session short, and the children and their parents went back to their
Rain
homes.
will always mess up trick-or-treating.
Before bed, Timothy asked his parents if he could dip into his candy collection. They agreed, and young Timothy decided to start with the pixie stick.
Come on, bro. You gotta go
He
with the
poured
Reese's
some of the
Cups.
powdery candy into his mouth, but immediately complained that it tasted unusually bitter. Timothy quickly realized that something was wrong, and he rushed to the bathroom with severe stomach pains. Shortly after, Timothy began to convulse, and within no time at all, went limp in his father's arms. He died as he was being rushed to the hospital.
Damn.
After a pathology report, it was revealed that the pixie sticks had been laced with a poison, a fatal dose of potassium cyanide, to be precise.
What the
Timothy consumed enough poison to have killed 2 adults.
Yo.
Thankfully, none of the other children in the group had eaten their pixie sticks, though theirs also tested positive for containing lethal amounts of cyanide.
That's crazy.
The tops of the candy wrappers had been opened, filled with poison, and resealed with a stapler. After the news of Timothy's death spread, there was community uproar, with parents from the surrounding area returning their children's Halloween candy to the police, fearing that a maniac had been handing out poison treats to as many trick-or-treaters as possible, with the
That's
sole
sick.
intention of killing dozens of children.
That's sick.
And that's exactly what was believed to have happened by the police.
Bro, that's sick.
Initially, at least. The authorities began to grow suspicious of Ronald, Timothy's own father, due to his inability to even recall which house handed out the pixie sticks.
Why do they always do this. They always accuse the person inside the household. That's crazy. Like, why would I poison my own child? Like, why would I do that? That makes no sense.
Despite the fact that he and the children had only visited a handful of houses across 2 streets that evening. Even more strange was the fact that none of the houses that the group had visited that evening had been handing out pixie sticks to trick-or-treaters. Eventually, the truth came to light. Ronald had poisoned the candy himself and ensured that it ended up being given to all of the children that he had taken out trick-or-treating. His motivation? To collect on various life insurance policies that he had taken out on his son, and presumably his daughter, though, as stated, she never ate her candy. He gave the other children the sweets in order to cover his tracks and make it appear as if someone else was indiscriminately handing out the poisoned pixie sticks. Turns out that Ronald was over $100,000 in debt, and the life insurance payouts that he was set to receive would have eased his financial woes. Throughout his entire trial, Ronald maintained his innocence, but the amount of evidence pointing towards him as the murderer was too substantial for the jury to ignore. It was revealed that Ronald had been talking to chemists about where he could purchase cyanide and how much would be needed for a lethal dosage. His friends and co-workers also testified that Ronald showed an unusual interest in the poison in the months leading up to Halloween. He was found guilty of murder and 4 counts of attempted murder, and was sentenced to death. While incarcerated, he was despised by his fellow inmates, who condemned him for murdering his own son.
Right?
Ronald's execution took place on March 31st, 1984, just after midnight. A crowd of demonstrators gathered outside as he died, some even chanting, "Trick or treat." For his heinous crime, Ronald has become known as the man who killed Halloween.
That's crazy, bro. That's just crazy. Like, you just mess up Halloween for everybody, bro. Like, yeah, that's sick. Alright, guys, this is going to be the end